this is like gonna add on to the video I just made, or like a qualifier. I thought about it and I said, well, right, look around, right. I mean, indeed, there are, right, what I would call educated people talking about those type of issues, right? So who am I saying I am to you in the white movement like that? Here's the thing about that, about different ways of thinking. Like, for example, that is to say, like, okay, like when I was in school, like I was sitting around, or when I went to one of the graduate schools I went to a place where there was a lot of what they call Iranian Marxists, and we were sitting in one class, and there was the guy from Denmark talking. I turned to this girl. I said, "What is this now?" She said they're theorists, like they're theorists. All right. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. The point, right, and then that was like an early time, and I didn't really know what I was hearing. But the point is this, right? Like, right. I mean, it's not that like I didn't. It's not. I mean, there's people who are like, they're like history teachers talking about Nazism, but no, right. But I'm saying like, right, people like me came out of a thing where like we're like we are like theorists and people who are looking into how to design political movements and the psychology of it. That is to say, like, right, like there's a guy, I'm like, oh, right. I mean, there's a PhD character you're talking about. I mean, like William Pierce had a PhD, and everyone, a lot of people have a PhD right now. No, but this I came out of a radical type of environment where, but those are people that are in every other movement. And I was like a brown shoes with a black tuxedo, man. Like, and there are no people, right, radicals like that who are. What's a radical? What do I mean? Well, the whole thing is like, first of all, you pass through like its phases. Like you pass through. Everyone passes through Marxism. See, someone like you listen to a history person, like a white power history person, he speak of Marxism a certain way, like right, and he's right. I mean, I know what they mean, and they do, and right, that's the red and gold and against the red. But that's historically. But no, in terms of like the thought process, right? All radicals pass through Marxism because. Dude, I'm just saying, like, who am I as a white nationalist to you that I would have like an interesting thing to say about something that someone else wouldn't? Right, because all the isms, that they are defined by their relationship to Marxism. So like that is like say what's anarchism really? Well, a lot of that is a radical critique of Marxism. What is to say what is socialism? Somebody says socialism is like kind of like the National Socialism is kind of like an anti-Marxism. Uh, Fascism is kind of a revision of Marxism, but it's always like okay, in this type of economy we're in, right? So reality is Marxist, but this is what they made it, right? But so it always like starts like you pass through, you become Marxist, and then you come this way and that. And I had moved into being what they would call like a fascist intellectual, and it's weird because I don't hear people talking a lot about fascism. What people like me want is to be the fascist movement in the country, and what people like Yaki want is to be the fascist movement in the country. Partly because of the feel of it, the aesthetic of it, and the fact that it's not worried of getting arrested all the time. Well, partly because they have an angry. It's cool, I'm sure, to listen to a history professor and all that. It's really interesting, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the point is like, right, there are people coming out angry, right? No, I mean the fascism. That's about light. I mean it's about light. It's about your heart and all that. So I really it's interesting. There are no fascists on here on this tube. Why is that? Right, because I mean, I was. They don't call it appealing, white nationalist intellectual. They got in trouble. Like, why the FBI contact me? I mean, there's a fascist intellectual here. There's a white fascist intellectual, and it seems like he modeled himself on Yaki or something. And do we think we don't want that here or something, or and the government knows that's a problem. I mean, I don't think Yaki should have. When Yaki went to prison, the right wing press in Europe was saying like, we believe Yaki to be a genius. We have to let him out of prison. Like, but okay. See, that's the thing. People like me, they say, why don't you go to Europe, man? They say, why don't you go to Europe? All right, like you go to Europe with this shit, and you're reading this, you're doing that, you're talking this way. Go to Europe. Right. So I said, why don't I stay in the country and offer my services here? So that's kind of what it is. But people like me are on what they call it the new right in Europe. People like me be talking to like Le Pen, in France or something. But I don't want to talk to Le Pen. I want to talk to you about your movement. So that's kind of how I'm. Let me conceptualize myself. That's how I'm offering myself as my services to you, is in that way, not because I have a degree or anything like that. Not like that.